This is an exhibit by 4 different fiber artists or fiber-based and embroidery artists, and it's called Family Ties. I think what's great about this show is that these artists are working in mediums that maybe aren't typical of a gallery show. They work with embroidery, found materials, things like that, and so I find it really refreshing to see embroidery, say, used in a different context. I'm hoping that after people see this show, that they will be inspired and excited by the different ways that traditional fiber mediums are used, or methods of creating things. For example, embroidery would be considered by many to be like an old lady's art form, and that you only make, tea towels or something like that. And Belinda Harrow's work is using embroidery to create really simple line drawings, or portraits actually, of her family or her grandmother. And that's just a very refreshing way to see embroidery, and it's cool that she's working that way. So I think when people see it, they'll feel refreshed, and they might be inspired to try some of this on their own.
Everyone has family. Everyone has these complicated relationships. And this exhibition uses maybe materials that you're not used to explore the relationships that we have with our families. And I think the materials that the artists are using in this show, because they're often recycled, they are referring to materials that people have, that make up maybe how they dress, or things that remind them of people. So the exhibition is something that everybody can relate to. Everybody can look at and enjoy. When I put this work together, I was thinking about my own family, in particular my grandmother. I never knew my grandmother, and this exhibition was really an opportunity for me to learn a little bit more about my grandmother through looking at old photographs and some of her readings. I tried to create a series of images that touched on her at different ages. The first one, she's 7. Then there's one when she's 17, again when she's 27. And I found once I had the idea that it was more difficult for me to find images or photos of her later on in life. So I reached out to family and asked for more information and more photographs. And there just was such little information for me. So I had to be really particular about the images I found and think about how I could create something special with the very limited source material that I had. I found that by doing the embroideries, trying to keep it simple and taking a really long time to build the image of her at the different ages, that I felt like I was making a connection to her through the work.
I think each one of the artists in this exhibit are very unique, and they tell stories about family and the complexities they're in very different ways. So their work looks really different. The ideas about family behind them are also really different. Another artist we have is Elizabeth Monroe, and she also makes a portrait out of fiber of sort of her childhood memories. So it's an adult looking at her memories that she has of her family, and then creating these really tactile portraits of them. They also have an audio component. So if you can think about how you remember your childhood and how you viewed your parents, it might come in flashes of a pair of shorts that your dad wore, or a dress that your mom had. It might come in, when you hear the sounds of a hockey game being played at a rink. Just that sound could remind you of one of your parents. I feel like her piece has seriousness and humor in it as well. She has involved her pet cats as family members. And, one of them is a little bit cross-eyed, and they're really adorned very fancily. So you start thinking, okay, what position did they hold in the family? Were they super spoiled pets?
Aesthetically, the work is really diverse. Like, it doesn't look the same. And considering we're all using soft materials, it's amazing how different the work is. The scale is different. Some are small and some are large. Some are rectangular and some are circular. And some are more realistic and some are more abstract. But all of the artists are coming from the same base point. They're thinking about their family and telling the stories and about the connections to their family through these materials and through this artwork.
There's one artist that is dealing with a mother-daughter relationship and genetic ties between family members and what that can mean. How does it complicate life? So she made a piece that was done collaboratively with her daughter, who was born with a genetic disorder. And she's doing it to honor her daughter and honor her creativity and spontaneity. And while the ties between them go from one generation to the next genetically, I think she's also celebrating that her daughter will make her own mark. So what she's done is she's embroidered over little scribbles and drawings that her daughter has done, and then added bits of her own ideas into it as well. I think that Saskatchewan has a lot to offer in terms of people in the artistic community.
Fiber-based art is work that is made with soft materials. It can be made with found materials like fabric, old clothing. You could be woven together and made with yarns. In my case, I worked on felt, thick felted material, and I embroidered the images. So it was like I was drawing with thread. So using a needle and thread in and out to build up the pictures. It's quite a slow process, very different than painting or drawing.
I think a lot of people can be dismissive of art shows. They think they're not going to get it, or that, I don't know, sometimes it's too strange of a concept, perhaps. What I love is when people come in and even just talking for a little bit about a show, even in the simplest way, with school kids coming to visit them, you talk about themes that the show has, and everybody leaves feeling like they learned something really cool or that they related to something.
I think it's great for kids to see this show because it introduces a material they might not be familiar with, something that they maybe haven't tried before. They probably have. Every child is asked at school to do a drawing of their mother or their father, but to create an image of their family member using fabric or soft material or yarn would be something new for them, and I think that would be interesting.
Are you an artist who's interested in appearing on maxTV Local? Let us know at SaskTel.com/local.